to share a mystery. Together we can find an answer. Together we can find the truth. Somehow. Let's get connected. Real talk.
And one way to check in with yourself is you can take a mental health screening, and it's available. There's a free one on mhascreening.org. That's mhascreening.org. And it's a quick way, and you can do this privately. You don't have to go to a doctor or psychiatrist or anything. You can do this privately. But I want to say that with doctors or the professionals, they have a tool sometimes that can go much deeper. But for those of you who say, I just want to check and see where I am, I'm not feeling quite right, this is a free tool to use. So keep that in mind. But as you recognize these problems or these mental health symptoms, we're saying there is help out here. And so in saying that, living a healthy lifestyle and incorporating those tools, Tindra talked about those mental health tools, to thrive may not be easy. We recognize that it's not always easy, but it can be achieved by gradually making small changes. And we stress this a lot of times in counseling, because a lot of times in counseling, you see people and they want to feel better instantly, and they may come once or twice and they want to feel like, okay, I'm well, I'm healed from my situation, my circumstances. But we say, in small changes, and then you build on those successes. You continue to build on those successes, and before you know it, you'll realize I've overcome whatever issues I was having, and once again, I feel so much better about myself.
So we wanted to also provide you with some tips to help you stay mentally and emotionally healthy. Taking care of your mental health is essential in staying physically fit. Mental and emotional health is an essential part of your overall health and well-being. Managing your emotions and maintaining emotional balance. Balance is that key word, is important. And when you manage your emotional health, it helps you to face the challenges and the stress that comes along with everyday living. Lack of emotional regulation skills can lead to poor mental health and difficulty in relationships. A few of the tips that we thought would be helpful is, one, is to take care of your physical health. You can stay healthy by eating well, getting adequate rest, and exercise. And eating the right kinds of foods, those foods which are rich in your vitamins and your fatty acids, the omega-3s. Keep up your levels of mood-regulating chemicals in your brain. Getting enough rest for your body helps to heal its daily wear and tear, while the lack of sleep can make you feel tired, stressed, and cranky. It's important also that we get outside to get some fresh air and to get that exposure to sunlight. It really helps with those vitamins. A study has shown that exposure to sunlight increases your production of serotonin, and that's a chemical that regulates our mood in the brain.
It makes us feel better. It makes us feel better when we have a serotonin active. But I heard you say something as well that I had mentioned earlier. You reiterated that how important is just your mental health is, as well as your physical health. And a lot of times we will focus on that physical health, really focus on it, and we will just ignore our mental health. So it's just as important. And to continue that, we also wanted to say, take care of yourself, and investing time in self-care contributes to your mental and emotional well-being. And we oftentimes, we feel, especially adults, and during the pandemic, a lot of times you had to take care of so many other people. And you neglected yourselves. You neglected yourselves to the point where you were, feeling so overwhelmed. We say set aside time for yourself. Attend to your own emotional needs. How can you do it? You can read a book. Pamper yourself. And we know this sounds selfish, but then when it comes to your mental health, there is a time when you need to be selfish. You need to take care of yourself. Sometimes you need to isolate. You need to steal away, because even Jesus had to steal away from time to time. But you need to steal away, and that's to rejuvenate, yourself, so that you are able to better take care of others. When you are healthy, then you're in a better position to help others. So we say this is so important. Even though it sounds selfish, you need to take care of yourself. You learn to use aspects of mindfulness to relax. And some may have heard that before, mindfulness, but for those of you who have not, and it simply means being in the present, the here and the now, without thinking of the past or future. Here and now, right now, choosing what to respond to rather than getting carried away with everything that appears on your mind or your experiences. It's to focus on one thing at a time. And this is important. Mindfulness is focusing on one thing at a time, because a lot of times you'll have so many things going on. And Pastor has said in his sermon, and jokingly, how he has the little men in his head. It's just so much going on at one time. But mindfulness is saying, okay, you take those little men and they're all saying different things. It's just bring them into focus and focus on one thing at a time, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed. When you're just getting to that point where I'm just overwhelmed, and being non-judgmental, and you're cultivating an attitude of impermanence towards things and situations, realizing that my current situation is not permanent because it's going to change. So I'm just going to focus on the here and the now. And this will help you stay open to experiences, and also help you not get overly affected by them. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, so that you don't get overwhelmed. And this is something that was shared by Dr. Manjula. He's an associate professor of clinical psychology from the National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. We say spend time with people whose company you enjoy. You say that's simple, that makes sense. But you want to, because a lot of times we will, because if you're that kind of person who wants to make others happy, sometimes you just put yourself on the back burner. But then again, it heightens your anxiety or it stresses you out. So spend time with people that you really enjoy. With the people that you love and you get along with, and the people who will give you a sense of being valued and appreciated. That is so important. We talk about that a lot with a lot of times the people we counsel. We want them to understand you have value and you are appreciated. And a lot of times they don't feel that outside of the counseling session. And so that's important. And that's because a lot of times they're spending time with people who devalue them and who do not appreciate them. So having healthy relationships with your friends, family, colleagues, and neighbors, now that can increase your sense of emotional well-being. We talked about well-being, but that's your emotional well-being, because it gives you a sense of connectedness. You want to feel connected to something and someone. Have lunch with a colleague. Now that the pandemic restrictions are being lifted or lightened, especially for those of you who have been vaccinated and your friends have been vaccinated, this is the time of year, the weather is warm, with precautions, to get out and spend some time with them and make plans to meet with your friends and just spend a little time with them and get to know each other a little better. But remember, it's also time that's going to be spent in valuing you and appreciating you for who you are as a person. So keep this in mind if this is an option. But it's always better to spend time, for a lot of people, it's better to spend that time in person than being simply connected via technology. And I have a friend who expressed to me during COVID that it was very hard for him. And he was very sincere. He said this, and very emotional. He said, this is hard for me. He's a minister. He said, because for people like me who are very sociable having to be isolated is much more difficult for us than it is for most people. And we acknowledge that. So we say you want to surround yourself with people in a safe way, especially as I said, as some of the restrictions are being lifted, but people who are also going to sow into your life.
This is also a good time to pursue a hobby or a new activity. Participating in activities that you enjoy helps you stay engaged, and in turn, it helps you to be happy. You know, picking up a new skill challenges you. It increases your concentration levels, and it makes you feel good about learning something new. It also increases your confidence in being able to face new situations, challenges, and people. That sense of, I can do it. The next tip is to manage your stress. You, just like everyone else, will have certain triggers that cause you to stress out. You can try to avoid a stressful situation, but when you don't have a choice but to face that event or person that causes you to stress, you need to find a way to cope with it. If you know you get stressed out by an exam, you must learn how to put exams in perspective and not let them become life-defining events for you. Because your exams are something that you would just have to face. It's not something you can say, oh, I'm just not going to do it. In some cases, avoiding stress-generating situations might work, but you must be able to decide between what you can avoid and what things you cannot avoid. You know, you might get stressed going to work, but you can't avoid going to work. So you have to find some strategies that will work to help you manage your stress so that you can take better care of yourself. This includes taking a friend or believing in yourself. You know, when we say taking a friend, we're talking, you know, talk to your friend about what's going on. You know, let them know that, hey, I'm struggling with this. I need you to help me manage or to get through this. And that's okay. It is okay to ask a friend for help. Sometimes meditating or going for a walk or listening to music or exercise. We have found that exercise lately have just been good for us to get outside and go jogging or walking. It helps relieve that stress. And those are just a few strategies you can try.
And to continue with that, we want to mention a few more, like identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, and your boundaries. We have spoken to lots of people about boundaries, understanding your boundaries, how to protect them. Acknowledge your strengths, and then you work on your weaknesses. And this is important. Accepting that you have some weaknesses, just like everybody else, it's a key to your mental and emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. There are some people who really feel like I have no weaknesses. It is interesting. I know they used to ask job applications, tell us 3 weaknesses about yourself. Tell us three strengths about yourself. And it's interesting. I have heard people say they went to an interview and they said they could not think of a weakness that they had. Well, that does not reflect on being mentally healthy, because everybody has something that they're weak in, but we also have strengths. But then you set realistic goals and consciously choose to participate in activities and surround yourself, once again, with people who will further your goals rather than distract you. You want people on your team who have common goals with you. Then we'll also say another one is you just practice gratitude. This one should be easy for us as the body of Christ. Practice gratitude. When you practice gratitude for what you have, it can take away focus from what you don't have. And that being grateful for what you have helps you stay optimistic about your future, and it boosts your mental health. focusing on I'm grateful for what I do have helps you to be optimistic for today, because I know if I didn't always have this, but I'm grateful that I have it now and some don't, then I'm optimistic about my future changing and my situation changing. But having that attitude of gratitude is priceless.
Express yourself. Poorly managed or unregulated emotions can be harmful to your mental health. You may shy away from expressing emotions or feelings that you think are negative. Being able to express what you're feeling, what you like or don't like, can help you declutter your mind. Suppressing emotions is believed to lead to depression and anxiety disorders. Every emotion is important and essential. So we're gonna be sad sometimes. We're gonna be angry sometimes. We're not gonna always be happy-go-lucky. So we have to make sure that what makes us healthy or unhealthy is our experience of how we express ourselves, either too much or too little. You know, we have to be appropriate in how we express ourselves and the frequency of the emotions. You know, you can't always be sad or always be negative. You know, there will be some times that you will need some help in these areas. And it's okay to ask for help if you feel overwhelmed, when you feel sad or challenged or frustrated, even when you feel confused or angry, or just simply overwhelmed by everything you're trying to cope with. It's okay. There are people that you can speak with. You know, speak with someone you trust. It might be your spouse, it could be your best friend. In some cases, it could be your parents or a sibling or another relative that you might have a close relationship with. If you think you need more support, then you can just reach out to a counselor or even your primary physician. But the earlier you reach out, the better your situation will be. Seeking professional help when self-help efforts to improve your mental health aren't working, it's a sign of strength, not weakness. So we invite you to join us on June 24th for a special Zoom seminar on anxiety. This is going to be a great seminar where you can get more information on anxiety, how to cope with the anxiety, some more tools for your toolbox. So you can just check on ACS and all our media outlets. More information will be coming.
And on that panel with the seminar, there will be special guests. If you want to join in, have special guests who will further talk about anxiety. So we strongly invite you to come back in, check back in with us, with our guests. And if we at WTC, Word Tabernacle Church, our counseling division, and there's a team of us, not just us, there's a team of us who are just available and waiting and so ready to help. If we can help you in any way, please contact us at WTCcounseling@wordtab.net or 252-210-3434. Remember, if you suffer with any type of mental illness, this is so important to understand you are not alone. Thank you for your time and have a great day.